Over the last few weeks, we've heard a lot of condemnation regarding the United States intervention in Venezuela to remove the dictator Nicolas Maduro. Many are quick to label this a violation of national sovereignty. Sovereignty does not belong to the person occupying the presidential palace by force. It belongs to the people and their vote. On the 28th of July 2024, the Venezuelan people spoke clearly. They chose Edmundo González. It was the Chavista regime that violated sovereignty by stealing that election. Furthermore, President-elect González himself supported this action to reclaim the democracy that was hijacked. Is it truly an invasion if the legitimate elected leadership of the country agrees with that assistance? To the critics, I ask one simple question. What was your alternative? For years, the world watched as Venezuelans took to the streets. They were met with bullets, torture, and arbitrary imprisonment. We know now that protest alone didn't work and won't work against this machinery. We have seen endless rounds of dialogue in Mexico, Barbados, and beyond. These talks served no purpose other than to give the dictatorship more time to consolidate its power. If peaceful protest leads to massacre and dialogue leads to nowhere, how exactly were the Venezuelan people supposed to free themselves? There are concerns about civilian lives, but let's be objective. Under this dictatorship, innocent people die every single day, if not from state repression, then from starvation and the total collapse of the healthcare system. The reports indicate this operation was surgical. Those targeted were the agents of the regime, primarily Cuban forces, who were there to protect a dictator, not the people. This action wasn't a threat to life. It was an intervention to stop a relentless humanitarian catastrophe and the state-sponsored killing of a nation. Finally, there's the old argument that this is all about the oil. It's fascinating how quiet these critics were for decades, while Cuba, China, Iran, and Russia stripped Venezuela of its natural resources. Where was the outrage over sovereignty then? It seems their issue isn't that Venezuela's resources are being managed by foreign interests. Their only issue is the change of ownership. They prefer resources to fund a global authoritarian axis rather than a returning democracy. Besides, you guys think we Venezuelans are not aware of the US interests. We are, yet we prefer not living with Chavismo though. We can no longer afford the luxury of neutrality when dealing with a criminal regime. You cannot preach about sovereignty while ignoring the will of the people who actually live there. What you critics are proposing is, in fact, doing nothing. Every peaceful avenue has been exhausted, and nothing has changed. You're essentially asking us to tolerate Chavismo in power indefinitely, regardless of how many elections they steal. True freedom is rarely won in silence, and silence in the face of tyranny is nothing less than complicity.